Howdy y'all, Dr. Nathan Burrow back again. So today we're going to go ahead and talk about sciatica, okay? This is one of those very, very popular ones that we see quite a bit just because it kind of plagues a lot of people. And one of the reasons it's so popular is because it's a very vast amount of things that can cause it. And it's also kind of a catch-all diagnosis where it can literally just mean pain down the leg if we're being totally honest. So let's go ahead and break it down real quick. So when we're talking about sciatica, let's first talk about what exactly is it, okay? So sciatica is literally going to be pain of the sciatic nerve, right? So let's talk about what is the sciatic nerve. So the way the sciatic nerve works, we'll go ahead and pop into Netter so we can get a good look. So the sciatic nerve, actually, all of these nerve roots that come off of the spine come together, and they actually are going to branch into right in here. As you can see, the sciatic nerve is going to run all the way down the leg. And what happens is once you get about to that knee area, it actually splits into 3 different nerves in order to innervate the entire foot and everything down there, okay? So the reason we say that is because it's a very, very big bundle of nerves actually that's going down the leg, and because of that, there's a lot of different places where it can be entrapped and have pain caused, okay? So when you're talking about sciatica in general, there's a lot of different things that can cause it, as we talked about in the chronic disease type talks back in the past. So with that said, the first big thing you need to know is you got to be able to identify exactly where the entrapments are, because that's one of those, it's not a cookie cutter thing. There's a lot of different ways that it can be being caused, okay? So with that said, we get to see this stuff all the time. And unlike me going in there and just trying to knock out the pain, throw an injection in to get the swelling down, I'm trying to find the specific areas where that function's being lost, restore that function in those areas so that we can relieve the pain that's associated with it. Because if everything's functioning right, you're not gonna have that pain, okay? So with that said, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at that nerve and that whole track, and we're gonna see exactly where that impingement's at, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into this Netter real quick. That way we can get at least a different view at it, okay? So when we're talking about the way that track works, as you could see how it went all the way down that leg on the other one. When you're looking at that, you've got, oh, this is gonna be a heavy one to pick up. Okay, so we've got all of these muscles right here that are going to go all the way down the back of that thigh, right? Well, if you peel back that glute, you've got your sacrum right here, you got your pelvis coming out, okay? This is all the glute muscles. Now, I'll go back to that other picture here in a second, but that sciatic nerve is going to run right down through here, okay? So what tends to happen when we're talking about the sciatic stuff is, let me go ahead and flip over to this one. So this one will actually have the nerve on it, okay? So this is the nerve right here coming out. Now, the impingements don't necessarily usually happen up in the spine. What tends to happen a lot of times is you either get locked up in that SI joint or possibly either underneath the muscles or around the muscles just from them being tight, right? Which is gonna press on the nerve and cause a lot of the pain, okay? Those entrapments can also happen down here in the thigh or even down towards the knee, okay? And once it happens, you can imagine how the pain's gonna go down the leg, right? So the reason we say all that is there's a lot of different places where it can be entrapped. There's a lot of places where that hose can be clamped, basically, right? My job as a doctor is I'm supposed to identify where those entrapments are at, and I'm supposed to release the tissue and get the function back so that you no longer deal with that sciatic symptom, okay? So we go through all that spiel to say, if you're dealing with sciatica, there's ways out other than going ahead and just drugging it, painkilling it, stuff like that, right? That's gonna be temporary fixes that might lead to more long-term issues where this gets to the point where those tissues that are locked up start spreading and becoming more chronic and more spread out, you know, causing more problems. Now, the other thing that you can do too is when you start talking about the injections and stuff that people do for this sort of stuff, it's the same thing, right? You need to get that function back in there. Otherwise, you're gonna end up just breeding more of a chronic condition. So if you're dealing with sciatica or you know somebody else who is, please feel free to send them in or feel free to send them to somebody you know that can at least go ahead and get that function back in there. Because if we can get that function back, most of the time you can go ahead and it'll start feeling immensely better very quickly. We can get it healed up right, get the strength back into it, and hopefully one day you'll forget that you even had to deal with it to start with. So anyway, y'all have a great day, and we'll see you soon.